Well, hello everybody. Welcome to Marvelous Monday and welcome to Aquarius Rising, Africa Freezing. Usually we have Africa Burn here, now we have Africa Freeze. But anyway, I'll talk and be complaining for the rest of winter in your ears. So send us some of those warm weather witchy vibes from wherever you are in the world, please. Good afternoon, everybody. And I know for most of our viewers, you guys are good morning. Just to let you know, it's been a beautiful day. So we've paved the way for you all. So happy Monday. You see, we've already made it a nice one for you. I hope you're well and had a fabulous weekend. And I welcome again beautiful Bryce with us, and of course Morné for Emerald Tablet 11, the key to above and below. But before we go ahead, I want to just say thank you to our amazing sponsor again for today's show, who is Spooky 2, the creators of these amazing home rife machines. They come in various sizes depending on what it is that you're dealing with, but they create their natural frequencies and you can use these at home. They have amazing people who will show you how, train you on these incredible machines. So if you'd like to get one for yourself, you're welcome to check out their website, and you can use my name, Chantelle, as your coupon code to get a 5% discount. So now that I've spoken about that, I want to hand over to Bryce because we are going to be talking about the keys to above and below.
Yes,
I want to say chapter 11, but it's tablet 11.
Tablet 11, but I just have to feel like our sponsors, all of our sponsors are just so awesome. I just think it's so cool, and I hope our viewers appreciate that these sponsors kind of go out on a limb to really support our work, so that you guys get access to our work, because it's a fight to put our stuff up. So all these sponsors are amazing. So I just have to say that we're very grateful to all of them. Yeah, they've really enabled us to be able to do what we do. And so I just had to say that, because I appreciate every company that sponsors me or all my friends' channels. It's just, they're amazing for doing that. So
no, they really are.
Yeah.
And you know what's nice? I mean, and I know you guys as well with ODYSEE and stuff. I mean, it's so cool to work with people. And you know what's really nice about doing, I think, this channel, and you meeting, and I'm just talking specifically about our sponsors who are really brilliant people who have spent many years working against so much crap from Big Pharma.
Yeah.
And we know, we've just been reading over the years, a lot of these amazing people that have created all sorts of things. Suddenly they mysteriously hang themselves with a tie on the doorknob, you know?
Yeah.
I think you know what I'm saying. There have been many of those reports. So these guys that create these natural remedies, and, you know, there are lots of shysters out there. We know that as well. But, you know, when you find someone who does authentic stuff and you know their heart is really in the right place, and then our channels actually and these platforms allow us to meet these people, and they actually trust us enough to say, okay, well, we like your audience enough to say, use our product, see what it's like at a discounted rate. And it really is good. I mean, it's cool. Of course, that's what advertising is about as well. Right. But I think we know, well, definitely from us, and I know the same, I can say the same for you guys. We don't just put on any old thing.
No, and I know that I've gotten countless emails over the years of companies that have offered me a pretty decent amount of money to advertise their products. And I've always turned them down because there was something about the company that I wasn't comfortable with. And when we're doing shows like the shows we do, we put our heart and soul into it, because it's our, it's our spiritual beliefs, it's our integrity. And so we want to make sure that we are as closely aligned with companies as possible. And with like ASEA, definitely, for sure, they've had, they were offered to be bought out by the big, companies, and they said no, because they knew they were going to shelf the product.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's what they do.
Yeah.
They buy out these brilliant inventors and creators, And I mean, if you've been watching our stuff with Tom Althouse, I mean, there's a typical example. Tom Althouse is the original creator and screenwriter of the movie The Matrix.
Yeah.
And of course was taken, I do believe it was 99. They actually stole his work and they passed it off as their own. Warner Brothers, I mean, they've, I don't want to, Killed, two of his sons. And of course, we're talking high-level cabal, yeah. I mean, we're talking, he knows all the, of course, he's grown up. Yeah, he's been part of the scene for a very long time. But of course, when they won't comply, that's when they start making their life a living hell. Yeah. So, and I know a few people that I've worked with personally, and obviously countless others we hear about, the veterans and stuff, how when these guys won't comply anymore. And I mean, even the guys that have just come from war that, you know, have got nothing that they have to hide for the dodgy ones, they are absolutely abandoned. You know, they fought for their country. They are treated like nonsense. And it's not just there, it's everywhere. So I think it's such a good thing for us to look at these things, you know, acknowledge what's going on around us. You know, how are we going to do what we need to do in order to get through this time? We really have to unite. We've got to work together in our communities. We've got to support each other. We've got to stop buying designer labels and support our local dressmakers and seamstresses and what have you. You know, start your own trend of clothing. You know,
I mean,
I'm honestly, that's the way we're going to change it. Yeah.
Yeah. I know you're right, Shanti. I think, you know, the three of us being on these public platforms, I think the three of us have experienced our own stress and our own fear for our safety from time to time because we talk about very controversial things. And that's the same for these companies. And the fact that these companies are willing to we're all together and they see the same fire within us that's within them to course correct. And so we're, you know, one person alone is one thing, but everyone together pushing forward together is another thing. And that the sponsors, guys, they truly make it possible for us to be able to financially, to be able to just be able to continue doing this. And so I just wanted to say that. And I think most of our viewers get that. I think most of our viewers understand that this is a full-time job for us. And you know, to be able to continue doing this, we definitely need that support and that they're willing to do that for us because their company aligns with us. And so I just wanted to say that because I know sometimes people give us shit for that, but no, this is an energy exchange, right? And so they're literally allowing people to watch our shows by helping us out in the back end, and their products are really good, you know. So it's a really good product. So we help them out too. So, you know, and as I was laughing, we were talking about the heat. They keep trying to convince us here in the United States that we have a heat wave, and everybody's like, "What, you mean summer?" Like it's not any more hot this summer than it was last summer, the summer 10 years ago, the summer 10 years before that. But they're trying to convince us somehow that it's warmer. And people are like, you mean like summer, like the normal summer we have? So I just think it's funny. They're trying to convince people now that the planet, you know, the climate's doing something weird.
Yeah, exactly. And of course we know that this whole climate control thing is a big fat hoax because that's just, I mean, all you got to do, you know, one person I really love is Andrew Tate. I really like Andrew Tate. I don't care what anyone else says to me. I think he's has he been perfect? No. Has he got narcissistic qualities? Probably. But I really like what he represents as well. And, you know, he's very outspoken about that as well. He says, you know, really, all these guys flying around in private jets and have their beachfront properties and they're telling us that we've got to be locked down because you know, of climate control. Are you ridiculous? You know, so that's what's happening. It's now the amped up version of locking us down in these climate cities or whatever. Do you know, I watched something, excuse me, you know, there's little automatic vacuum machines, right? First time I saw them was in Thailand. Yeah, I had no idea that those things even existed before I saw one when I was in Thailand. but it's all done by remote and stuff. Do you know that you have got to link to a cloud in China to start your vacuum cleaner? And that is how they're tracking people as well with stuff like that. That's how they get your information. That's how they know where you are. That's how they know what you're doing. I mean, that's just, can you imagine on a stupid vacuum cleaner that you buy because now you're too lazy to vacuum your floor, with the normal thing. I mean, I'm not saying I wouldn't do it if it didn't have a follow me around microchippy thing in it, I probably would too. But what I'm saying is these are the things that we've got to start being very aware of. And it's because we've allowed ourselves to get so technologically hooked in to this AI system that they've been putting in place for us for a very long time. And we've made it easy for them. Think about when cell phones came out in South Africa. I mean, it wasn't even that long ago. I mean, my child was big at school already, when cell phones came out here. I mean, it started with the cell phones, then it starts with computer games, then it starts with all sorts of things, apps on your cell phone, and then just more, until they've now got us hooked in. And I'm telling you, the only way that we're going to get back to getting off the grid, all of us, is by not buying into that stuff anymore, going back to basics as much as what we can, planting our own foods. Bill Gates has pretty much bought up all the seeds in the world. He pay $1 million to buy property or a farm or whatever, and then he keeps the property and he does his own thing there, right? We know that that's what they do with Monsanto, and every time now no one can replant that. That's what they're doing. So why are we allowing that? Why are we allowing these people to buy up our food and our seed? Why? We've got to start participating on a very real level, not just being keyboard cowboys when it comes to this sort of stuff. But anyway, we have to take responsibility in a major way. And it starts with our spiritual reconnection to who we really are and what the truth of who we are is. And once we've linked to that, anything is possible. Hello, Jackie Schutz. I'm watching you very carefully, Jackie. I hope you're good.
It's anyway, so true. It is so true. And that is what everything they've done is to disconnect us from our own. And we're looking for things outside of ourselves, that cell phone, that religion, that political leader, and when it's all coming down to us. And yeah, one person might not be able to correct the atrocities that have happened in Washington, D.C. or London, but at your local level, you can start to make moves. And I think that was a great, the United States was a great example of that during lockdown. Some states, like the state that I live in, was not locked down for that long. We never had mandatory V's. We never, but then you go to California or New York and it was like communism. And so it taught people that when you are on the local level working on which is what a republic is anyway. That's what a republic is. It's your local level that you're able to then have a say. And so once that happens, people take that's the thing too. It's like taking that responsibility. No one's coming to save you. I know people keep thinking people are coming to save us, but you guys, it's been 3 years. No one's coming to save us. And that's a good thing. I'm trying to reiterate that. That's a really good thing that no one's coming to save us, because if someone did sweep in and save us, then therefore they would then become the new controllers. They would become the new controllers.
Save yourself. Jesus taught us how to save ourselves.
Yes, save yourself. That's how powerful you are. You can save yourself.
Yeah.
It's kind of like I learned how to swim. I'll say it. This was back in the 80s when, we were a little bit more feral. I don't know if parents could get away with this today. I learned how to swim by being thrown into the deep end at 4 years old with my pink bathing suit on. I still remember it. And my dad's sitting there going, swim. I learned how to swim because I was how many people watching had the same thing happen to them? I know that was common for parents to throw them in the deep end and watch and be like, swim, figure it out. And that's kind of what's been happening to us now. We've been thrown into that deep end Because now we have to remember, and it's not learning how to, it's remembering we can do this. And you're right.
Yeah.
I was saying that with cell phones. I mean, I learned how to read a map. How many young 20-year-olds today have no idea how to read a map?
We like pirates, babe. We like right up there with the pirates.
Take that GPS away. I'm all good.
I love maps.
And you had to highlight. When I first moved to Los Angeles after college, you had to get the Thomas Guide, which is like a book of maps, and you'd have to sit there and like figure out how to get to your location. And I mean, yeah, exactly. Like this whole planet was explored without GPS. So it's in you guys. It's in you. So yeah, and actually it's it brings us to the next tablet, because that's basically, we were talking about it before we started filming, because I sold it as the truth about your soul, because it's the key of above and below. And as I was reading this for the first time, I was like, oh, this is stuff we've been pointing out this whole time, that Thoth has this amazing ability of simultaneously talking about the macro and the micro. And I don't know. I can't know somebody else's perspective. But if somebody was reading the Emerald Tablets without any spiritual knowledge, they might strictly see it as a book about the macro, not understanding that it's a reflection. The two reflect each other, right? And that's basically what he's getting to. And I want to go ahead, before we even get into the first verse, I'm going to reread the first verse of the first tablet.
That's very much in line, by the way, the as above, so below, with the law of correspondence, by the way. So I would say that as above, so below is probably, when we're looking at the laws, I would say that would match most perfectly the law of correspondence.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also with as within. As
so
above.
yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Potato.
And that's what Shanti and you guys have been saying this whole time. It's like, if you want to get rid of these nefarious, horrible people, yes, you speak up. Yes, you stay stuff, but you also work on yourself, because it's a vibrational match, right? It's always a vibrational match. And so the more you work on yourself and you start to heal those parts of yourself, the less that other mirrored experience can even exist. And so that's why but I want to remind you again of the first verse of the first tablet we ever read, because it's going to be referred to again in tablet 11. So again, this is from tablet 1, the history of Thoth, and this the first birth. He says, I, Thoth the Atlantean, master of mysteries, keeper of records, mighty king, magician, living from generation to generation, being about to pass into the halls of Mente, set down for the guidance for those who are to come after, meaning us, these records of the mighty wisdom of great Atlantis. So I want to remind you guys that in the very beginning of these templates, or these tablets, rather, he tells us that you right now, the person reading this, I wrote all this down for you so that you can remember who you truly are. And Billy Carson also focuses on that first verse a lot, how important that is for you to recognize that he's talking about you. In the 1800s, this stuff would not have probably made sense like it does now. We are at a time in 2023 where we have the internet. All these tools that people say are bad, they're used by the cabal, are just tools. That's all they are. They're tools. So they can be used by us too for the good, right? And so we're at this area, this time in our life, or in our span of evolution of consciousness, where a mass majority of people on the earth right now collectively understand what he's saying, right? Whereas maybe 200 years ago, people might not have understood it, right? And so I just wanted to bring that up before we get into the first verse of this. So to make a long story short, you watching right now, yes, you are very special indeed. Thoth wrote this for you, okay? So whenever you're feeling down about yourself, just be like, well, Thoth wrote these for me, so obviously I'm kind of a badass. I'm kind of a big deal. So you watching right now, you're the big deal. You're the magic that Thoth was writing about in these tablets. All right, so he goes, and now we're back to tablet 11, the key to above and below. Hear ye and list ye, O children of Chem, to the words that I give ye, that shall bring ye to light. You know, O men, that I knew your fathers. I, your fathers, in a long time ago, deathless have I become through all the ages, living among ye, since your knowledge began, leading ye upward to the light of the great soul. Have I ever written, drawing ye out from the darkness of night? So I wanted to remind the children of Chem. We covered this in the first tablet as well. So Chem is the land of Chem, where we get the word chemistry, alchemy from. That's Egypt, aka Atlantis. And so he's telling you, you are a descendant of Atlantis. And remember, this is the records of the wisdom of Atlantis. And in my opinion, that's one of the big secrets they're trying to keep from us, is that we are the descendants of this great and mighty kingdom that existed all over the world, that was Atlantis. And there were certain things we knew that we have forgotten. And if you remember, he's going to refer back to after the fall of Atlantis, when people were confused and were living in caves again and didn't know who they were. And he's going to refer back to that. So he's saying, I knew your fathers. And so we can see this in two different ways, that he's talking about your heritage genetically. We know that our genetics, even though our genetics are only temporary, they are an antenna. So our genetics are an antenna for certain things. If you ever, you look at your family, your biological family, there are things that you will have in common, talents. I mean, Morné's a great artist. Morné, do you have any family members, descendants who are also great artists that you inherited that from?
Well, I'm not sure about like art, but I've got a lot of magicians. Like my grandpa was a magician, so was an artist. So yeah, and I've got my brothers. We've got talents, yeah, very artistic.
So it's that genetic antenna. So that's what he's saying. We can see this, you through your DNA lineage throughout, because you have that collective consciousness, even though the soul is not the body, there is a certain evolution that has happened to that antenna over the law of one speaks about this as well. You can also see this as your own reincarnation, your own journey through time. As each life you grow and progress more, and you have that, you drop deeper and you integrate deeper into your conscious understanding of the qualities of yourself that you have forgotten. So you can see that in two ways, but he's reminding you that over time, whether through your lineage or through your own reincarnation or both, you have been coaxed through every life to understand more and more and more and more, to drop deeper into that, we can say, enlightenment, samadhi, whatever you want to call it. And so he's saying I've been with you this whole time. I've been prepping you this whole time for you to figure this out. So again, you're the rock star, you're the storm, you're the main character, right? You've been guided this whole time. He's guiding you upward towards the light. So that Sushumna, that upward, that Kundalini rising through the light of the great soul. So he's guiding you out of the darkness of night. Know ye, O people, amongst whom I walk, that I thought have all of the knowledge and all of the wisdom known to man since the ancient days. Keeper have I been of the secrets of the great race, holder of the key that leads into light. Bringer up have I been to ye, O my children, eyes from the darkness of the ancient of days. List ye now to the words of my wisdom. List ye now to the messages I bring. Hear ye now the words I give thee, and ye shall be raised from the darkness to light. So like it's crunch time, guys. You've been preparing. When he talks about, he talks about the great races here. And if you remember back in like the first or second tablet, he spoke about the races and basically emphasized theories that I have that our races come more from galactic heritage than anything. And within that, we talk about the 10 tribes of Israel who are missing, the 12 tribes, but there are 10 that are missing. Well, that's the 10 DNA strands within us that are dormant right now, right? We have 2 that are kind of active. They're not fully active, but they're kind of active. Then we have these 10 other DNA strands that are completely dormant. And the propaganda, the controllers will call it junk DNA, right? We know it's not junk. God doesn't make junk. There's nothing about our body that is junk, right? And so,
well, they really just didn't know what to put it down to. I think that's what it was. I know Michael Tellinger, I've interviewed him on here before. He's actually South African, the author of The Slave Species of God. And a lot of giants, Nephilim bones are found right here. Lots and lots of that. And he's a big one at discovering all of that. And he actually wrote the book, as I said, The Slave Species of God, where he talks about that. And he specifically, I think he actually he was the one that coined the term junk DNA. It's the first time I heard it was when I read his stuff. I don't know if there's anyone else.
It was actually
cool.
Like I remember they called it junk DNA.
The junk, yeah. Because
Yeah.
they don't know what it is, right? Exactly.
Yeah.
So then, but as we awaken spiritually and as we evolve, it's like Leila, he does Ubuntu. It's like the plugging in, it's like plugging in back to your power
Yeah.
source again. Ka-ching, ka-ching. And then you start remembering, hey, I can heal my body.
Yeah.
Hey, I feel a lot better. Hey, it's just like a stage of like waking up. That's
Right.
what starts happening. It's not
And
a huge big puff and suddenly in
no.
another dimension. It's a process of awakening.
And I think that's what he's referring to throughout the generations of coaxing you to remember, because if you have 10 DNA strands that are dormant and all of a sudden overnight they just become active, that would probably throw your nervous system.
You'd implode on yourself. You couldn't. You'd implode. Your body would implode.
Yeah. So it has to be a slow, and I personally believe, and I want to say this to everybody watching, because I know we have an awesome audience of people that really work on themselves, hence why they jive with our channels. Working on yourself is really hard, and sometimes it's very overwhelming. But I do believe every time you work on yourself, even if it feels overwhelming, you're very subtly waking up those DNA strands, even if you don't feel like you are. Just the fact that you are facing that and you are trying to, as Thoth has said over and over and over again in all the tablets, it is your responsibility to break the bondages. It's your responsibility to get rid of the chains, more importantly on your mind than anything. No one can do it for you. And as you start to work on that, I just wanted to reiterate that to our audience. You're doing that. You're starting to slowly bring those qualities of yourself that have been dormant to life. That is the alchemy, right? That's taking the lead and turning it to gold. And so you are that. You are the children of Kim. You are the alchemist. You are the magician. You're that you seek. And it's not an overnight process. And he's saying that. And so I just want people watching, if you are someone who works on yourself and does your shadow work and does your healing and does your yoga or whatever, you are doing this. You are already in the process of doing this. All right. He says, far in the past, when I first came to thee, found thee in the caves of rock. So again, that's referring back to the very beginning when he talked about the fall of Atlantis, when all of a sudden we had this huge flood. Everybody in Atlantis knew everything, had this wisdom. We were in the same type of situation that we're in now, where there was a battle between good and evil. And that, because evil cannot sustain itself, evil toppled one in that battle, and therefore Atlantis flooded. Right. And so Thoth, if you guys remember back from the beginning tablets, Thoth and a few other people who had done a lot of work were kind of taken into safety, into sanctuary during that fall in order to preserve the knowledge of Atlantis. And so I want to reiterate again, not once in this has Thoth ever referred to himself as a god, not once. And so the label of deity that's been given to Thoth was given to him by other people, not Thoth himself. He was just a teacher. And so and then when they came out after the floods receded and the land was dry again, Thoth and his gang came out, and all of the people that had survived the fall of Atlantis were basically living in caves. They had this great, from what we understand, Atlantis was even more technologically savvy than we are now. But all of a sudden they were barbarians again, and they freaked out when they saw Thoth, and they didn't understand what was happening. And so it's taken us all this time to come back to this place of remembering where we started. And so Thoth started then trying to help people remember, we got to get you back up to where you were so we can evolve, right? So he's referring back to that. So I'll start that again. Far in the past, when I first came to thee, found I thee in the caves of rocks. Lifted I thee by my power and wisdom until thou didst shine as man among men. I found thee without any knowing, only a little were ye raised beyond beast. Fanned I ever the spark of thy consciousness until at last ye flamed as man. So he's fanning the spark of consciousness. So again, he's not doing it for you. He's working with you so that you can be a flame among men. So that light, if you remember in one of the tablets, he referred to seeing humans as almost like lightning bugs. Like he doesn't really see our bodies anymore. He sees us as lights. And some people's light, if this was one of the prior tablets.
Glowworms, little glowworms.
Yes. Like we're just these little like Christmas tree lights. Like he just sees us. How pretty would that be?
Lights, yeah.
Imagine how different it would be if you just saw people by their light and not by their physical bodies.
Yeah,
right?
When you see their auras.
Yeah. So people who
If you ever read the book, there's a book by Wilbur Smith called The River God. Now, Wilbur Smith's also South African order, but my gosh, he's brilliant. If you guys ever want to know true South African history, you guys have got to read Wilbur Smith's book. And it starts many years ago. There's a whole 4 or 6 of them, but the first one is called When the Lion Feeds. It gives such an accurate description of that. But anyway, that's not the point. What I'm saying is in his series, The River God, he actually writes about Egypt. And there's a story about this guy, Taita. And I mean, it was a brilliant series. And Taita sees auras, and I love it because in that way, you can see it. But again, and he would be able to then perceive what was going on. And definitely, I mean, you can see that.
Yes.
Listen, but anyway, before we carry on, we want to just stop for a little ad break here. So we'll be back in a minute or two.
John White, the founder of Spooky2, has been seeking solutions to serious diseases since 2008, working on energy and scalar wave resonance, biofeedback, and PEMF therapy.
Our products serve as the spark to ignite the fire of compassion. An increasing number of customers are becoming beacons and advocates of love and healing. The fire has become a furnace as we continue our contributions to humanity.
Thanks to the collective support of our customers, Spooky2 has created a charitable platform for every sale. $3 is donated on behalf of the customer. Time flies, but our original goals remain unchanged. Today, we want to share a healing story from Danielle.
Hi there, this is Danielle from my kitchen in Amsterdam, Holland. I have Lyme disease and I'm treating it several ways with essential oils and supplements. That's just a little bit of what I have. I've been having this for quite some time and I started using the Spooky2 with Generator X at a friend's house. And I really feel the benefits if we do a scan and then treat it with the additional program that the machine generates. I seriously feel better. Blood flow in my head feels better and I can concentrate better. And I'm really thankful that these machines exist. And I just ordered a plasma ball to make the frequency stronger. I hope to be feeling much better after that. Thank you so much for making these machines and making all of these frequencies available for everybody.
The world is bound together with love. Spooky2 will continue to spread love wherever we go.
Cool.
That's awesome. That girl's story.
Yeah, it's amazing how I'm just looking at Jenny. I love Wilbur Smith. Yeah, Wilbur Smith is cool. You want some good reading? There you go.
Yeah, I well actually, Shanti, if you will send me the book link when we're done, I'll put it on my community tab and stuff too for any of these books because we're all about spreading the knowledge here. But we were talking about auras. I just covered Casadega on my channel, which is like the world's biggest spiritualist camp now. It's like considered the world of the psychics. And it's only like a few hours from where I live. So I was looking at going, and they have a shop that takes your picture and shows you your aura. And it was wild looking at all these pictures and all these animal pictures, like to see like anyway. But yeah, and if you guys remember in that part where Thoth speaks about the light, he talks about how he can see people who are heavily bound because their light is dimmer than the ones who aren't as bound. So how cool would that be to be able to like really measure the work you're doing by your light? But then they go on to say too in deeper templates, which I think are tablets, which I think we can all kind of relate to, is the bigger your bright light, the light your gets, the more you trigger people too, the more people will attack. And so the brothers of darkness. And so it's very interesting. But he goes on to say in this next verse, which again is something that I've been trying to reiterate on my channel, and with that what he just referred to in the opening of this, he goes, now I shall speak to thee knowledge ancient beyond thoughts of thy race. Know ye that we of the great race had and have knowledge that is more than man's, wisdom gained from the star-born races, wisdom and knowledge far beyond man's. Down to us had descended masters of wisdom, as far beyond us as I am from thee. List ye now, while I give ye wisdom, use it, and thou shalt be free. So once again, and if you have your own copy, you can see here that the great race is capitalized, but the thought of thy race is the race in that sentence is lowercase. And so from what I took of that, and again, for us at this stage of our development, this timeline, how many times, I mean, we saw this in 2020. We see this constantly. How often are the brothers of darkness trying to divide us by our races, making us feel like we're in competition with each other when we're all literally earthlings, we're all human beings? And he's saying, don't you understand? He's actually calling that out here. He's saying you're having thoughts of your race, like you're having thoughts. This goes beyond the fact that you think that I think I'm a white girl from Georgia. It's beyond that. Us collectively on planet Earth are part of the great race, which is the star-born races, which again goes back to the theory that the original tribes of Israel were galactic. And that's the DNA strands that are dormant are these missing tribes, these missing galactic inheritages. So he's telling you, like, don't get caught up in this pettiness of I'm black, you're white, you're Asian, because you're all a part of the same system. You're all brothers and sisters from the same great race system that's star-born. And we know from I know from other channelings that human beings on planet Earth, the Earthlings, we are some of the most powerful beings in all of the cosmos because we're a mixture of all different cosmologies. We're not just one. And that is why Earth has fallen over so heavily, is because of that magic, that power. And so he's saying, like, you need to remember, stop getting caught up in this, like, nonsense. Stop getting caught up in this petty race nonsense, because you're all part of the same race. The black person, the white person, the Asian person, the Latin person, the blue people, wherever they are, you're all part of the same great race. And that is the race of the cosmos. You're star-born. You're born on Earth, but your heritage is star-born. And so I thought that was pretty cool that he basically called us on our shit. He was like, stop it, stop it, stop it. All right, so know ye that in the pyramid I build are the keys and shall show the way into life. I draw ye a line from that great image I build to the apex of the pyramid built a gateway. Draw ye another opposite in the same angle and direction. Did ye find that which I have hidden? There shall ye find the underground entrance to the secrets before ye were men. So we can see that again as the macro, that he's actually talking about literal pyramids. Or more importantly, what is he saying? This is your body. Your body is a literal pyramid. It's a literal gateway of information. The keys that he's hidden, that are hidden from you, that you need to find, are within you, within your own knowledge, right? You open up these understandings of what this is that you are. Tell ye, I know of the mysteries of cycles, and move into movements that are strange to the finite. For infinite are they beyond the knowledge of man. So we talked about this last week, and we talked about this a lot of time. He said some of this information is going to be strange to the finite. Well, what is finite? Finite is mortal. So it's going to be strange to our mortal minds. Like to think about, as we talked about last week, the key of time, to think about time not being linear. But only being linear through our perspective as human beings, but that just only being illusion. So some of this stuff he's saying is going to remain strange to the finite part of you, but to the infinite, which is the soul, it is beyond the knowledge. Your soul knows more than your mortal mind, right? And we say that a lot in yoga. I'm sure they say it a lot in the healing arts. Like your body, your subconscious knows way more than your mind does. Your mind is like this negotiating terrorist that doesn't really know as much as like that intuitive side of you knows. And so if you can just relax that and understand that your soul understands things far beyond your mind, you'll start to open up more. He says, know ye that there are 9 of the cycles, 9 above and 14 below, moving in harmony to the place of joining, that shall exist in the future of time. Know ye that the lords of the cycles are units of consciousness, sent from the others to unify this with the all. Highest are they of the consciousness of all cycles, working in harmony with the law. Know they that in time all will be perfected, having none above and none below, but all one in perfect infinity, a harmony of all the oneness to all. And so who are the lords of the cycles? Again, that's your chakras. He talks about the 9 because you have the 7 within you, and then you have the above and the below. And he's also going to go ahead and talk about things that we kind of spoke about last week as well with time. Even though we see, so the law of 1, right? We've talked about the law of 1. It talks about the different densities, first density, second density, third density, fourth density. And we see it as this linear progression. And so we're seeing this as like this linear moving up and down of a ladder. But literally they're all existing within the same consciousness, which we spoke about last week too. So he's talking about this in 2 different ways, the way you're perceiving it and the way it truly is. So he knows that as a human, you're going to perceive it as one way, but you're at this point, if you're still hanging around with his tablets at this point, you're open to understanding that this is not necessarily how you perceive it, is not necessarily how it is. And I say that to people.
Yeah, because I think the perception is that linear.
Yeah.
It's the perception that things are linear. And we've been taught that things are linear, which is exactly where we get into the whole fear of past, present, future. And then when we're looking at, really, there are amazing teachers on this planet right now. One of the most brilliant ones, in my opinion, has been Eckhart Tolle. I mean, he's really incredible. He wrote the book, The Power of Now. And he really talks, I mean, he really, I think, was the first modern day teacher. Like, I'm not saying there haven't been guys in the past. Yes, they have. But in this age or this day, that is really, in my opinion, coined it in the way that it truly is. You know, when we talk about the power of now, because, you know, now is the only time. It's that moment that you're wrapped up in, right?
Yeah.
It's this nanosecond that you're wrapped up in. And as long as you are feeling safe in this moment, in every cell of your body, that will take care of the next moment, which takes care of the next moment. So by being present in the now, you've already taken care of the future,
right,
without the stress that goes along. Because, of course, the past creates regret, sadness, pain, guilt, whatever, anxiety. Well, the future really creates anxiety. The past is more the regret. So we don't want to repeat similar mistakes, but we don't know what to do, like not to change it. So now we sit in the present moment, stressing our asses off because we have no idea which direction to take next, because we're not present in the now, and we haven't understood that time is not linear.
Exactly.
If we understand that time is not linear and what that truly means, we go back into our little time capsule, if you will, and go figure that out. It's amazing, because that little time capsule is all you have in that moment, and in that moment, and in that moment. And your life is made up of a myriad of time capsules, if I want to put it that way, you know, that all encapsulate you and your energy. And the way to jump your timeline, as we've spoken before, is to change the energy or the frequency of your time capsule, which is the past, your pain, right? Or whatever it is. So you got to change the past to create a different perception as to how you move ahead in the future.
And
it depends on what's now.
The first time I ever crossed this theory about the now being all there is was in A Course in Miracles, which, if you guys, I've talked about this a lot on my channel. It's like I highly suggest.
Miracles, I have it.
Yeah, getting this for yourself, because you can even flip it over and just, you know, my friend Emmy is doing a whole year course on it, on A Course in Miracles.
It's insane. You know, the first day in that book, The Course of Miracles, you got to look and you got to say, nothing is real. I'm looking at myself, that's not real. I'm looking at my glove, that's not real. The whole thing is to get you to the point of understanding that even though we're experiencing this meat suit, third dimensional time-space reality.
It's
It's
a
such an
simulation.
important part
Yeah.
of our existence and our expansion process. It feels so real, but we must never, and that's what I always say to people, don't ever forget, before you became your beautiful body, you were spirit. And when you leave your body, you spirit again. So life is not physical, it's spiritual.
Yeah.
We're spiritual beings having a physical experience. So if we can get that connected and realize that this is purely a moment in time that I've chosen to expand my consciousness through this contrast. And when we can do that, the answers come.
Absolutely. Well, it's, the military back channel that people are really obsessed with kept saying it's all a movie, it's all a movie. And as you're saying that, Shanti, I was thinking, that's the big confusion, isn't it? Because people now believe that the macro is the movie. They believe that all these actors are now playing these politicians, and it's, Gitmo's full and all this. They think it's all just one big react. But no, maybe that back channel meant that you're the director of your own story. It's up to you.
And the main actor, the director, movie producer, everything.
And the audience, like you are. I mean, I tell my yoga students this all the time. I'm like, because I love my reality shows. I'm like, listen, once you start doing your own self work, there is nothing juicier and more dramatic than your own story. And when you start to sort through that, you become the director. You become the one that. So it's not, maybe the military back channel wasn't meaning how people took it as, and people who obviously haven't done their own spiritual work would see it as, oh, the white hats are saving us and all these people are just actors and it's not real and blah, blah, blah. But no, it is real. You are the one, though, that has the power to change that vibratory response by how you conduct yourself, because you're it, baby. You're it. You're the playbill. You're the popcorn. You're the director. You're everything. And so that is that much. And yeah, if anybody wants to really get down and dirty, I would highly suggest a thick book. Get A Course in Miracles. I feel like everybody should have it on their library. And that was when I first started really thinking about the now too. There was a part in it that really, and somebody told me once that the fear of the future, the anxiety about the future, is you being afraid that the past is going to repeat itself, right? And so if you work then on that trauma and you start to, as Shanti says, like time jump and start to course correct your energy around a certain event, a certain experience, then that fear of the future or the past repeating itself is going to dissolve, right? And you're going to be in that moment of living, and I would say that for anybody, and that's a challenge for me. That's a big thing that I have to really have to work on. And so for people watching right now, how many times you really want to work on that when you're during the day and you're doing your day, you're doing your job. How often are you actually thinking about something that's coming later today instead of being in the moment with what you're doing? Right? I catch myself doing that all the time. And so there's a Japanese meditation, I forgot what it's called, but like if I'm cutting up carrots for my dog's dinner or something, usually when you're cutting up carrots, you're thinking about somebody else. But can you bring your attention back to what you're doing in that moment? You're cutting up carrots. I'm cutting up carrots. That's what I'm doing right now. That's the experience. When you're in the shower washing your hair, I'm washing my hair right now. Ooh, that shampoo smells good. Be really in there with that experience. And that will start to help you practice being in that moment to then create change for the future. And so that's that's the yoga. That's a practice, huge practice of yoga. Another book by Eckhart Tolle, A New Earth. He talks a lot about that in A New Earth, how to get the mind to kind of be in the moment. So anyway, he goes, I tell you now of the mysteries of cycles. Okay, so we started that. Let me start that again. I tell you now of the mysteries of cycles that move in moments that are strange to the finite. For infinite are they beyond the knowledge of man. Know ye that there are 9 cycles, 9 above and 14 below, moving in harmony to the place of joining that shall exist in future time. Know ye that the lords of the cycles, so the chakra system, are units of consciousness sent from the others to unify this with the all. So even though we see the chakras as their own little points of energy, their own, and in this, he's heavily focused how these lords of cycles, the Muladhara Lord, there are all these different consciousnesses. Even though they're working separately, they're also working with the all, with the whole, which we see that in the best representation in your own pyramid, in your own body. They're all working together for the greater whole. Highest are they of the consciousness of the cycles, working in harmony with the law. Know they that in time all will be perfective, having none above and none below, but one in perfect infinity, a harmony of all, of the oneness of all. Deep beneath the earth's surface is the halls of Aminte, sit the 7 lords of the cycles. I, another lord from below, yet known thee that in infinity there is neither above nor below, but ever there is and ever shall be oneness of all when all is complete. Oft I have journeyed to the halls of Aminte, oft have I stood there with the lords of the all, oft at the fount of their wisdom have I drunken, and filled both my body and soul with their light. And so again, you can see this as macro and micro. We can say deep beneath the earth's surface is the halls of Aminte. Well, what's your body's surface? This is your own personal little universe, your own personal little earth. It lies your own halls of Aminte where the chakras live. But we also know that there are chakras on the earth. We know the earth also has energy points. A lot of cities grow in specific places. They tell us a lot of times it has to do with waterways from ancient travel, but that's not necessarily true. There's energetic cycles in certain cities, right? And so the earth itself has her consciousness, and us collectively as the individual have a collective responsibility with Mother Earth. We're a part of this experience as well. We have to we bury our emotions into the earth. We are a part of the dirt, the air, the fire too. And so there's a huge representation of the macro and the micro. We know that Mother Earth reacts to the way that we treat her. She reacts. Not all weather is weather manipulation. Some of it is Mother Earth's detoxifying some of the emotion that's been buried into her surface. And so it's important to understand. I think sometimes, especially with religion, I think people get really kind of obsessed with this idea that they're only here on earth as or they somehow don't have dominion over the earth, which means that they have ownership over it. Well, no, you're working with the earth. You're the same God who created you, created the earth too. So you're working with each other in perfect harmony and perfect balance. The earth provides you with life. And so therefore you have to also care for the earth too. All right. Spake thee to me and told me of cycles and the law that gives them that means to exist. I spake to me the Lord of the Nine, saying, O Thoth, great are ye among earth's children. But mysteries exist of which ye know not. Ye know that ye came from the space-time below this, and know that ye shall travel to a space-time beyond. But little ye know of the mysteries within them, little ye know of the wisdom beyond. Know ye that ye as a whole in this consciousness are only a cell in the process of growth. So what does he mean by he came from the beyond? Okay, beyond, as it doesn't mean he rose up from hell. No, it means that he came from a place of lower consciousness and then he started to evolve in consciousness. He started to rise up in that consciousness and it still has infinite growth to go as well. And I want to say this too. I'm going to say that I've said this on my channel a lot. In order to understand the value of each stopping point among this linear path, so the second density is not any less valuable than third density, right? Although people think it is. They think we're more valuable than the animals. Well, I'm going to ask you this. Is your second grader less important than your fourth grader? No. It's just where they're spiritually are and they're mentally, academically in their development. And so it's all a working development of consciousness. My sister's dog Mo, that she got in college and has had for almost 14 years, passed away yesterday. It was very emotional because I love that dog so much. He was an old man. When he passed away, he went through everything with my sister. But in mourning that loss of that second density creature, there's love there because that creature was a part of our family too, right? I hope I'm making sense. I know I'm probably preaching to the choir, but there is a system for each in its place. And I said to my boyfriend, I was like, well, I hope Mo had such love in this life that he's now able to come into third density next life. We'll see, but it's that love that everything is the one, even though something comes from below you are coming up from another density or another consciousness or another dimension does not mean it's any less valuable than you. I hope that makes sense. Or that something of higher consciousness or higher dimension is not any more important than you, right? It's all one in the spokes of time of consciousness and development. All right, it's a part of the cell in the process of growth. So it's a moment in the process of growth. The consciousness below thee is ever expanding in different ways from those known to thee. I, through in space-time below thee, is ever growing in ways that are different from those that were part of the ways of thine own. For know that it grows as a result of thy growth, but not in the same way that thou dost grow. We rely on each other, right? He's saying those below you are growing differently than you, but they rely on your growth. So as you grow, so does it karmically affect everything around you. Let's see. The growth that thou have had in the present have brought into being a cause and effect. Okay, so the growth we're going through has brought a cause and effect. What is cause and effect? That is karma. Karma is your work. That's what we know from the East. Karma, listen, people on the West are very confused by karma. Karma is just cause and effect. It's just everything that every action has an equal and opposite reaction. And that's what causes opposing forces. That's what causes friction. That friction is what sparks the flame of growth, right? And so that's causing, he's telling you, the more you grow and develop, it's having a cause and effect that therefore is opening more pathways of growth. It's unavoidable. It drives me crazy when people are like, I don't have any karma. I'm like, you're alive. You got, drinking water and then having to pee after. What's the karma of drinking water? Your body's hydrated and you have to pee after. Our whole existence is cause and effect, right? Our whole existence is cause and effect. And so the big ones are what give you that spark to grow and to understand, right? Like Shanti says, like when you go back and rework on your shadow work, on that jealousy, that deceit, that betrayal, all these low level energies, when you go and actually work on them, that karma, that cause and effect changes at that point. And so that spark, that friction of that uncomfortableness is what caused that change. So it's very, very important. I thought that was interesting. They brought up cause and effect because that's karma. No consciousness follows the path of those before it, else all would have been repetition in vain. Each consciousness in the cycle it exists in follows its own path to the ultimate goal. Each plays its part in the plan of the cosmos. Each plays its part in the ultimate end. The farther the cycle, the greater its knowledge, the ability to blend the law of the whole. Know ye that ye in the cycle below us are working the mirror parts of the law, while we of the cycle that extends to infinity take of the striving and build greater law. Each has its own part to play in the cycles. Each has its work to complete in his way. The cycle below thee is yet not below thee, but only formed for a need that exists. For know ye the fountain of wisdom that sends forth the cycles is eternally seeking new powers to gain. Know ye that knowledge is gained only by practice, and wisdom comes forth only from knowledge. And thus the cycles created by law. Means are they for the gaining of knowledge, for the plane of law that is the source of all. The cycle below is not truly below, but only different in space and in time. The consciousness there is working and testing lesser things than those ye are. And know, just as ye are working on greater, as above ye are those who are also working, and ye are on yet other laws. So it's never going to stop. Right when we get to fourth density positive, guess what? We got a whole other set of things we got to work through. It's never going to end, right? It's always, you're always progressing. It's infinite. It's never ending. The difference that exists.
Otherwise, it would be boring.
Exactly.
Otherwise,
right?
it would be boring.
But the laws of so we have these laws of our own planet, our own density. But when our consciousness grows and we bump up a level, it gets different. The law, because we all of a sudden we know more. And you're right, Morné. Like that's the whole thing. Like you said earlier, you only know life because you know death, right? When the day stops that you stop learning, that's when you don't evolve and you die, right? So if you're super closed-minded and it's your way or no way, then you're heading towards death. Because you're not evolving, you're not learning more, you're not seeing new perspectives. And so, yeah, it would be totally boring if there were. And actually, fourth density positive is going to be even harder to get through as far as getting to fifth density because there's no polarity. It's a different kind of friction in fourth density than what we have here. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be very interesting to see like how that plays itself out, right? The difference that exists between the cycles is only in the ability to work with the law. We who have being in the cycles beyond thee are those who first came forth from the source and have in the passage through time space gained ability to use law of the greater that are far beyond the conception of man. Nothing there is that is really below thee, but only a different operation of law. So if you're studying the law of one, you know this, like there's different laws in each density because there's different consciousness levels. And I just noticed the time. That might be a good place to stop for today, and we can finish it up next week.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mark it.
We can do that, indeed.
Brilliant. Oh, I just see you have a great relations with the spiders. Yeah, it makes you appreciate the animals more when you realize, oh lordy, they've still got third density to go through. So, yeah.
They're amazing. Spiders are actually amazing. I actually like them. I mean, I don't like them creeping all over me. I don't. No. Definitely not going to be enjoying that experience. But they're actually amazing creatures. I must say, I saw a little just speaking about spiders, I saw a little video clip not too long ago of a little girl somewhere. But she literally, these huge tarantulas, I think they are, these big hairy ones. She has like a whole lot of them. They're her pets. You must see how these things love her. And she's like little, like 3 or 4. And you must see how these things love her. And she picks them up and they crawl all over her.
Yes,
and you can just see how they
gentle beings.
Yeah,
spiders
they
are the most gentle beings. They're so gentle. I mean, even when they catch their prey, they like give them a little sleeping thing so that they can sleep before they eat them. So it's like spiders are very, very gentle. I had what do you call it? Like the baboon spiders. I don't know what you call it in America, but there's big ones. I had one of them and they were like so gentle. Very cute.
Yeah.
I'm okay with, if I have a spider in the house, I'll always put it outside because if my dog gets it, my dog will terrorize it. Like he will terrorize it. But I have a really hard time with rodents. I have a huge aversion to rats and mice for some reason. However, if there is a rodent nearby, I will insist it not be killed. Even though I don't want to see it, somebody else has got to deal with it. I want it catched and released into the wild because even though I can't stand it, I don't want to hurt it. And I just want to say, I was just looking through, I didn't get to see the comments earlier because I was reading. Carol Custer, you said y'all all literally saved my life. You must be from the South, Carol. I love it. Y'all literally saved my life. You showed me where to search. Well, Carol, I hope I can speak for Chantelle and Morné to say thank you for allowing us to be a part of your journey. But darling, you did it yourself. You saved yourself.
Yeah, indeed.
We're honored to be a part of your journey, but girl, you are a badass, Carol, and you did that yourself. So you should pat yourself on the back because you're the one who did the work. Yeah. So I'm very proud of you, Carol, and I'm very honored to be on all y'all's. I'll pull some real Southern, all y'all's journey. But all y'all. That's what we say. So y'all is like a couple of people, but all y'all is a big group of people. So there's y'all and all y'all. Carol Custer, who said y'all, she knows. So all y'all watching right now, you guys. You know, I appreciate so much being a part of your journey, and it's so wonderful to be able to do this and talk about this stuff with you guys. But you're doing it yourself. You are the magician. You are the main character. You are the one that are freeing yourself. So I want you guys to be very proud of yourself from the work that you've done.
Cool, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for yet another Monday, a marvelous Monday, and we shall see you not on Wednesday, but next week, Monday, for, I don't know how many tablets we still have, Bryce. How many do we have?
The last of 11, and then I think we go up to like 15, but like the last 2 are only supplementary, because if you guys remember from the beginning, there are a couple of tablets that they don't have everything. And so I think it's the last 2. So let's see, 12, and then we have, his commentary gets shorter and shorter and shorter. So 14 and 15 is just supplementary, or maybe it's just 14. Supplementary, it's 15. So it's only like supplementary stuff that they have. And so that'll be interesting. I haven't looked at those yet, like read them yet. So that'll be interesting to see what we can gather from hopefully Thoth will inspire us and maybe give us the rest in a cosmic download of what's missing. So.
Well, we all have it already. It's all being cosmically downloaded already. So we just got to tick, tap in.
Right.
Okay,
and then we'll get back to deep dives and stuff like that. So
yeah, indeed. Cool. Have a beautiful Monday, everybody. And we shall see you I'm on tomorrow with Tom Althouse. So join me for Tom Althouse on Tuesday, 6:30, and then Jesse on Wednesday at 3 p.m. So we look forward to seeing you all then again. Have a beautiful evening. Enjoy the week. God bless you all. Take good care of you. Cheers, Bryce. Cheers, Morné. Thank you.
Cheers.
Bye, guys.